Well, first of all, listen, it's interesting about all these young guys today. They never call on us and say, hey, thanks for the kind word and telling me how great a player I am. But when they play like crap and we call them out, we don't know what we're talking about. Listen, I'm easy to find.
Cut it off! I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This, today, is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I'm not in the mood to play with anybody. I mean, damn it! I'm ticked off!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Hope everyone's having a great weekend so far. Hope everybody's staying safe. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I would like to say up front. The Washington football team played yesterday, and the Baltimore Ravens played tonight. I'll have those observation videos up for you guys Monday night at the latest, most likely recorded. As far as the football seasons, we got one more preseason game after this week, and then the football season will start, and you got college basketball and college football in there as well. The last episode, check it out if you haven't already. Thank you for the new subs. I've subscribed to the channel, much appreciated. Episode 3 has not been uploaded on Anchor that goes to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So please check me out on Spotify, Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, and just check me out on there. Leave a review; it's greatly appreciated. In this video, painfully, we have to recap the Washington Mystics getting swept by the Seattle Storm. But, ladies and gentlemen, let's take the opportunity to welcome back to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, Mr. Brenden Potts. Brenden, what's going on, sir? How are you?
Hey everyone, how are you doing? I'm doing good, man. Mood is we got two different moods here, but I'm definitely feeling good, having a good day so far.
Yeah, having a good day as well myself. Just I don't really know what to really feel, honestly. I don't know if it's the getting swept that stings, or maybe it's that, you know what, maybe this is just not the team that I thought the hype train was all about. The Washington Mystics lost embarrassingly 97-84.
What was that? What the hell was that? I'm sorry the H words and the D words aren't appropriate over the airwaves, but it's going to be today. I don't know how much more of this I can take. How in God's name?
Let's start with game one. How'd you feel about game one?
Yeah, game one, I mean, I honestly thought Washington was going to take it. Coming into the fourth quarter, I mean, the teams were battling, and then Elena Deladonji just turned it on, and I was like, okay, we've had an issue over the season of getting stops after made shots. We've been one or two stops away from winning the game, and it just didn't fall our way. And game one was one of those days. And Elena Deladon, she just couldn't miss. And I was like, is there someone that's gonna help us put us over the edge? And then that big performance from Jewel Lloyd down the stretch, that was really big, I think, for her and her confidence. I believe she started 0 for 4 in the first half, 0 for 5 with 4 points. and we talked about the last time those low scoring games where she doesn't make a shot, and I think that was a really big fourth quarter for her confidence.
I said it in the previous video. It's going to come down to a game of possessions. There was nothing the Washington Mystics did that was a disaster, other than just at the wrong times offensively, they turned the ball over. It was a turnover here, not finishing layups. We're taking wild shots. We're getting outpaced. It just didn't look. It just came down to game possessions. That one turnover Natasha Cloud made, that wasn't the deciding factor. Down the stretch, we just faded. I mean, for 3 quarters, we played defense on Joe Lloyd, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what happens. And I'm going to give Seattle credit. This notion that Brianna Stewart has no help, I said this in the previous video, she has no help is ridiculous. She had Sue Bird, she had Gabby Williams, she had a bench that was productive. And the starting 5 was productive. So this notion she has no help, it makes no sense. But it came down a game of possessions in game 1. And I felt really optimistic after the post game media availability call, because Natasha and Elena just gave these, we've got this, and Natasha had guaranteed us going back to DC, and we got checked. We honestly got checked today. It's over for the Mystics. We got swept, and I'm just gonna say it, Seattle. That's a good team over there. That's what a championship team looks like. Even though we're both champions, last time this happened, you guys swept us in 2018 on the Seattle Storm. I thought first half it looked well, but I thought the third quarter was key. To start off the third quarter, Seattle won a 13-3 run. Actually, hold that thought. Let's me play this pregame clip from Coach T in the pregame media for the Washington Mystics.
We'll go to Nathan.
Good afternoon, Coach T. You've been in moments like this in the playoffs. What is your philosophy to stay poised, motivated, and calm in situations like this?
I mean, hopefully you've put in enough reps. That's the biggest factor. I mean, in any endeavor, whether it be sports or music or anything else that you want to be good at, you're not going to be as poised or good as you can be unless you've had enough reps at it. Luckily, we have a fair amount of veterans on our team who have been through it before. We have a few that haven't, but the reason a lot of these teams advance is because you have enough veterans to get yourself through it. I don't spend a lot of time, hyping our team up. I want them to stay calm in these moments. We try to approach every game in the same manner so that, you don't have peaks and valleys. I think one mistake sometimes young coaches make is you get hyped up for certain games. And the reality is your team needs to be on an even keel most of the year and play what's right in front of them. And it sounds cliche-ish, but it really helps in the long run to approach things that way. And so that you don't get overhyped at the wrong time or, make mistakes because you're trying to do too much. And we might have had a little bit of that in the sense that, some of our younger ones get sped up a little bit, but that's also part of the learning process that we're going through too. We're not the same team as we were in 2019, but we have some different strengths and we're trying to play to them.
Best of luck today, sir. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
couple things on that. Yes, I understand what he was saying. A motivation speech, locker room prep talk is not really going to help you prepare for moments like this. Honestly, at this point, everybody knows that it's all hands on deck. And you're going to hear this in the post-game clips with Ariel, Tosh, and Elena. But I am getting to the point. I'm getting very, very annoyed, and it's not a shot at Coach Tebow, that we keep bringing up 2019, 2018. That was 3 years ago. Like, what have the Washington Mystics done for us lately? I mean, with all due respect, the bubble, first round exit, the next year, you don't make the playoffs, and then this year, another first round exit. I would have thought coming into today's game, I really, really would have thought that the offense would have really, really stepped it up. But that third quarter was key. I mean, the fact that the last 10 minutes of the game, you're down 10. And then you're down 75-61. I mean, by that, again, the fact that we're the number one ranked defense, and we allowed 97 points the whole year.
I mean, this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take. I just don't know. This is ridiculous. Oh, Lord.
I mean, it showed in the first quarter. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that was some poor, that was very lethargic basketball in the first quarter. They were down 10 the first 10 minutes of the game. I mean, there were I don't know, that there were no clean looks. The shots that were good we took just didn't look great out there. I mean, I think we were 5 of 15 from the field. We were 2 of 6 from 3. And again, just in that quarter, Seattle shot 75% from the field. Second quarter, things looked a little bit better. We opened up the quarter on a 15-4 run. And that was our first lead. And then all of a sudden, Gabby Williams takes in the halftime up too. But just the rest of the second half, it just looked completely different. The Washington Mystics, we just struggled to get stops. I mean, look at this box score. The fact that the entire starting five was in double figures, that number one ranked defense means nothing. It's all faux pas, because the same defense that's beaten Las Vegas, that's beaten Seattle, I don't know what I saw in the second half. I saw in the second half a team that just looked flat out. They just checked out. I mean, they they looked lost on screens, giving up. We're not switching. We're not communicating on defense. I mean, we're giving space to shooters. I mean, the point that there's the dagger Sue Bird. I mean, Shakira Austin jumps and Sue Bird pumps fakes. The fact that they were able to get 27 assists. And here's a fun fact for you. Washington didn't do much. I mean, Seattle shot 55, practically over 50% from the field and from the three. You're just not going to win games when you've got a 3 for 5, a 0 for 3, 6 of 14, 5 of 14. Offense just, once again, it faded down the stretch. The ball movement, it killed us. I mean, see, the fact that Sue Bird had a double-double in this game, I mean, that's what a championship looks like. Now, I hope Gabby Williams is okay, because she did go into concussion protocol. I really do hope she's okay. But honestly and truthfully, I'm disgusted. I'm very disappointed. I would have liked to have seen more urgency from the Washington Mystics. And I tip your hat to Seattle. That's a championship. That's championship pedigree right there. That's what a good champion. That's what a championship team looks like. They stayed the course. They stayed focused, and we showed that for one quarter. Honestly, I mean, I thought the defense for the most part, I'd say, played fair. They did well, but I mean, I just think we had no answers. I just think we just got physically and mentally, our asses just got kicked. That's just plain and simple. I mean, Brianna Stewart, I mean, just didn't really have a great game. I mean, and really until the second half. Didn't. I mean, what do you want? I mean, I don't know what else I can say other than this was probably the most disappointing playoffs game that I've watched of the Washington Mystics. That's all I can say. I mean, Natasha Cloud finished with 21 points. Brenden, help me out.
Yeah, I think speaking on the Seattle side, I think biggest takeaway for me is that Seattle played to win and not to lose. And saying the common theme around there was they didn't want to travel. They didn't want to go into a game 3 across the country to DC. I assume none of them had their bags packed, ready to move. They didn't want to travel, so and they needed a much bigger rest, or a much better rest period coming up with a week off, I believe. And they just played to win and not to lose. You tipped your hat to Seattle for playing like a championship team. I think I tip my hat to Washington, but also specifically one player on that team. I like a lot of WNBA players in this matchup. I obviously like all of the Storm players. Yes, even Jantel Lavender. And on the Mystics, I'm a big fan of Natasha Cloud. I'm a big fan of Alicia Clark. I'm a big fan of Shakira Austin. But I respect, and I am the biggest fan of Elena Delle Donne. And I'll tell you why. The fact that she is playing the way that she played in this series is phenomenal, and we got to see the best out of her in two games. And I say that because she had 2 back surgeries 2 or 3 years ago, and I've been in the position where I've had to have 2 or 3 back surgeries, not consecutively like her, but in the span of 2 seasons, or 2 years. And it took a while for me to get back to my old self before. And I'm not an athlete by any means. I'm not a professional athlete by any means. She is. And she did it, and she's playing in the playoffs. She played in the playoffs at the top of her game. I go back to when I said she looked unstoppable. That's big that I'm saying that, considering where she was at 2 or 3 years ago. So I respect Elena Delle Donne. I said it on Twitter after game 1. That's something we should not take for granted. I tip my hat to the Mystics. I said in the last pod, just because it's a 2-0 sweep doesn't mean it's going to be 2 bad games. I think this one was unfortunately a bad game for the Mystics, but make no mistake, game 1 was fantastic, and I really enjoyed it.
I second those thoughts. And kudos to you for, being vulnerable to, share the experience of getting back surgery like Elena did. That takes a lot of courage. That takes a lot of strength, and I commend you for that. And I hope you're doing well. And I hope you continue to get better and progress with your health. I do appreciate you taking time and really being open about that. I agree with all your thoughts. It's just with this team, I think the hype was a bit premature. There's going to have to be some changes with the Mystics. There just has to be. I don't see this same team staying together next year. I just don't. I think we got some egos. I ain't gonna lie. I think there's some egos, and there needs to be. And I think honestly, today they got checked. Because we were both in the pregame, in the postgame media. They just sent me the Washington side. So from the Seattle side, I'm gonna play the Washington side, and you can definitely chime in on the Seattle part. But I want you guys to really hear what Coach T said, and then there's something that Natasha Cloud, and then Brenden, you can help me out with this too, because I'm really trying to I'm perplexed with her comments. So let's actually take a listen to the post game for the Mystics, and then we're going to talk about the Storm.
They're knocking down some big shots. It's why they have a chance to win a championship. Their offense is really good, and they had a good game plan for us. We hung in, but it just wasn't good enough. This atmosphere was great. Hats off to everybody in the organization, to the fans. That's what home court advantage gets you, and that was big. Yeah, Kareem. The microphone.
I was going to ask about that defense. You had your head on all season long. What kind of adjustments did you try to make after they got going in the first quarter?
I mean, we tried switching some things to just not give them any gaps. We tried, trying to get it out of Stewie's hands. I mean, we did a good job, I thought, on Stewie in the first half, and overall, I mean, she didn't shoot a great percentage, but everybody else took up the slack for her until she got going. I mean, Gabby didn't play much in the second half, but she had a good first half. And then, Talbot and Magregor and others, made some shots. I thought Sue did her usual of, getting everybody organized to where they're supposed to be and making sure the right people have shots. And they just shared the ball. I mean, they had all 5 starters in double figures. There wasn't much answer. I felt like a little bit like 2018. That they were just a little bit better all the way around. We couldn't match the same production that they had. And, that's part of our growing up a little bit. You can have as good a defense as you want. You still got to be able to score too. And we weren't good enough, tonight at either end. I mean, they played like a great team tonight.
I just want you guys to hear this. I apologize for the.
I feel like all year our offense has kind of been stagnant, and our Achilles heel, we're the number 1 defensive team, but if we can't put the ball in the basket, it makes life really hard. So just it's us, right? We got to get in, we got to fix, knowing what actions we want to go to, being able to read on the fly.
Brenden, let me ask you a question. When you hear if you are, how would you feel if you were Elaine, let's just say Seattle, hypothetically, right? Let's say you're Jewel Lloyd or Brianna Stewart, and Schubert comes out and goes, "Well, the offense has been stagnant all year." How would you take that?
Yeah, I mean, Sue Bird isn't the one to say like, oh, that's it. The offense is stagnant. There's reasons. Like they know what they're doing. Or they're smart enough to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, talk about uh, talk about the long term of a franchise. Like Brianna Stewart's going to be a free agent next year. Sue Bird's retiring. Like that sounds kind of like especially in the case of Sue Bird, that sounds like a case of like, I quit. Let's just move on. Uh, I'm going my separate ways. Just not really caring. Not sure how to elaborate more on that.
I hear you. I just wanted to play that clip because I don't think I liked that answer. Because I didn't hear that same answer when we blew a 17-point lead against Connecticut. I didn't hear that same answer when we lost the first two matches to Seattle. I didn't see that kind of body language when we beat Las Vegas. We swept them. Interesting. But, congratulations to you guys. Just talk about, you know, from your perspective, um, how do you feel? Where's the limit for this team, and just talk about what Coach Noelle Quinn said in her post game media. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have access to that. So, but Brenden was in there. But just from your perspective, just what was her mindset like in this game, in this win?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've said it all season. From the jump, the ceiling for the team is a championship, and I think that's it's a really veteran group, and they know what they're built for. A couple of the players, Jewel Lloyd, has said it all season. They know what they're built to do. And to touch on what Coach Quinn said, we talked last pod about the games like this being like a chess match, like the back to back against Washington in the regular season, and then I believe we played New York in two games in a weekend, and those games are like chess matches, and I asked Coach Quinn if that prepares you for the playoffs, and she said that's right on the money, and that it prepares you for the playoffs. It prepares you for series like this, and then I followed up with our series against Vegas. How does a 3-game series differ from a 5-game series? Outside of the obvious for more games. And she chimed in that there were more games, but we have a whole week of rest. And I think Vegas has the same thing. They won yesterday, giving them one extra day. But we get a full week of rest. Hopefully we can get Gabby back for that series. If we can, we're fully healthy and we're ready to go. And a 5-game series gives us more opportunities, more counter moves, more moves, counter moves, that kind of thing for the series. But she did give props. Vegas is a good team, and I'm excited to do battle with them.
Can you just give what your outlook on this series against Vegas looks like? And you guys seen each other before the season. I think the first two matchups you did not have Tina, if I'm saying that correctly. Now that you have Tina in there, do you feel like that slows your pace down, because Seattle and Vegas kind of play the same way. And Tina Charles she's a post stretch, but do you just give your outlook on this series against Las Vegas?
Yeah, I think there are advantages and there's disadvantages. They switch a lot, or they switch a lot on pick and rolls. Um, so Sue said after in the post game availability that they will find advantages in that switch when they go smaller. And Asia's not guarding Stewie, and they will take advantage of it. And I think they are very good at adjustments and adjusting game by game or play by play. And they're a great team. And I think going back to our one of our most important regular season wins was in Chicago, and I think that that was a very, very important win for a lot of reasons. Um, we haven't been doing that well, or as well as we'd like to prior to that win, and we came out, we fired on all cylinders, kind of like we did today. Like, we had a really good shooting game. It That reminded me of Chicago, and the differences are it's on the road, it's in a very tough environment, and it's against a team that is contending for a championship. And how that can help with Vegas is it's the same thing. If they're contending for a championship, we're gonna be on the road. We don't have to travel long, I think, or a long distance. I think it's gonna be key. And we get a 5-game series, and Coach T commented a lot on 2018, and Sue Bird was asked a question about this series being a rematch of the 2020 finals, and I think that's a common theme in Storm fans and Aces fans as well. She shut that down completely. She was like, "These are two different teams. Have two different systems, and they run differently," and she hit it right on the money. I think this is matchup wise, this is a series of the rematch series of the 2020 finals. Let the headlines have their fun, but this is to the players. This is Vegas. This is Seattle, and it's going to be a fun series for sure.
Who are your X factors in that series?
Yeah, for Seattle, I think it's going to be Gabby Williams if she stays healthy. I think Ezzy McGregor is going to play a huge part in this, and then Tina Charles. I think she's going to be a big difference, especially if we can get mismatches with her. Assuming Hamby is back, that's still with Asia at the 5. We're playing 2 bigs with Tina and Stewie, and assuming Asia's going to be on Stewie, except on pick and roll switches. You got another. I'm not quite sure. I think Hamby's going to handle her own, but Tina Charles is eventually going to kick it in next year, and when she does, I don't think Hamby's going to be able to stop it. For Vegas, I think Chelsea Gray she's already kicked up that notch. We're talking about kicking it up a notch. Chelsea Gray is that she, as social media said, she is her, and Chelsea Gray is fantastic. Kelsey Plum is fantastic as well. Asia Wilson, I think she's played at an MVP level. I think another storyline that's going to be obvious here is this the battle of 2 MVPs. I don't think it's going to matter that much just because it's going back. It's a Storm versus the Aces. But that adds to the entertainment factor for sure.
if Gabby Williams is not, I mean, it's a week for you guys to get for rest, but if she's not ready to go for game one, how does your starting lineup, if you're Noelle Quinn, what does that starting lineup look like?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Super, Jewel Lloyd, and Brianna Stewart and Tina Charles. I think we're going to end up putting Stephanie Talbot at the 3. I believe she started the season at the 3. I first couple of games, and then Gabby just inserted herself in there. It helps when she's been on the team for 3 seasons, and she came when Katie Lou was missing time last year. She just came in and was inserted into the starting lineup. So it helps that she has experience on this team, and she adds shooting to her to this team, to this offense, and Gabby's obviously going to need this on defense. She's if she doesn't make an all defensive team, then something's wrong. Um, so Gabby's a very important part of this team and how the defense runs.
Just a hypothetical question. What if you had Sue, Jewel, Brianna, Tina, and Ezzy out there at the same time? Would that lineup work?
No, for a couple of reasons. Do you realize how relatively thin we are at the bigs? Because all we got is Jantel and Tina, or I'm sorry, Jantel and Ezzy coming off the bench at the 4 and the 5. But I think it helps that Steph is playing. She plays both the 3 and the 4 when she comes in, because she relatively comes in for Stewie, and we go small ball with Ezzy McElgore, especially shorter than Tina. But if we're talking about beginning of the series, I guess I could see that combo. I don't think so. I mean, I've never seen that combo this season, so
I guess what I mean in terms of, because Vegas obviously is going to play small, right? So we know Becky Hammond. I believe I forgot what game it was, but she said De'Erica's going to come off the bench for a period of time. So okay, you're going to have to slow their pace down. So you got to take away something. That's why I would say put another big in there if possible. But I mean, defensively, you've got obviously Sue and Jewel. I don't know who Brianna would match up with, honestly, other than maybe Asia. Tina could probably match up with Asia. That lineup is just going to be small. So it's going to be, I kind of see more of a guard-oriented lineup for Seattle, if that makes sense.
are you seeing a lot of zone in that scheme? Because you're I feel like you're kind of seeing this in a man-to-man situation.
Yeah, I'm trying to incorporate zone defense for sure, because I know Vegas is not going to utilize their bench. I mean, the probably only 2 people they'll probably use the most is Teresa Plassance and maybe now Kristen Bell, because Ayana Rappaport, we don't know when she's reported. We don't know when she's coming back as well. So yeah, I need to know what that lineup looks like game 1. I know what the lineup looks like for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of like Coach Quinn has echoed all season. It's gonna be a really, really good 5 games of chess. And I think, listen, Seattle is the 4th seed, okay, and they finished. That was a regular season. They finished with the 4th best record in the league, and I think, I obviously have my opinion. We're not the 4th best team in the league. I think we're much better. I think we're right there, and Vegas is too. So I think this matchup's a little misleading, especially for fans of both teams. I think Vegas fans are going to come in here and be like, oh, they're the 4th best team, or they're 4th seed. It's typical one against the 4. They should be. This is going to go Vegas' way. It just depends on how many games. Seattle fans were saying, hey, we can take this team. We can do it. Even though we lost the season series 3-1. And, Vegas definitively beat us in 3 out of 4 of those games. So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a 5-game battle, and I'm very excited.
It's a 5-game series. Give your outlook. How many games do you think Seattle could win?
That's tough. I think it's gonna go 5. I think Seattle. I'm predicting Seattle wins 3 and Vegas 2. But I think this is going to be another one of those series, where the games end in possessions, and also runs. We not both of us didn't mention in game 1 that was a game of runs, and Seattle went on their run, Washington went on their run, and it just kept going. So that could definitely happen in this Vegas Seattle series for sure. But I got 3 too.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say 5. It's gonna go to 5 games. I need to go back and look at the tape. I'm being honest when I say that. I need to go back and look at the tape, and I think, like you said, it's going to come down to a game of runs and a game of possessions. But I see it going to 5 for sure. For the rest of the playoffs, really quick, the Washington Mystics, they have not scheduled their exit interviews painfully. When that does, I will go live with that. But in the meantime, we've got some other playoff games, and painfully, the number 1 seed, and we called it, the Las Vegas Aces swept the Phoenix Mercury. Brenden, I'm going to give you the floor. Let me get your thoughts on. Let me get your thoughts on the Phoenix Mercury this whole season.
The face on Diamond DeShield's face after game 1 really put it into perspective on what they're dealing with. I think what people need to understand is these not just talking about WNBA, any basketball player in general. They're people first. They're just like you. That's something that person sitting next to you, person next door neighbor, that's something we all have in common, is we're people and we're human first. And I think that picture of Diamond DeShield really puts it into perspective. They just had another season-ending injury, and the worst one available. Hopefully, talk about the Vegas. We talked about the Aces and the Storm. They have Kelsey Plum and Brianna Stewart, the same players that have been through a torn Achilles. And they're I like to put them in a club of players that have become, or that have been better since their injury. They're in the club, and hopefully they get another member. You know, but Phoenix, like we said it last pod. We just got to give them their flowers for just making the playoffs. It completely surprised me that they made it, but they did it. Wish Skylar Diggins Smith all the best. Of course, Brittany Griner has been wrongfully detained 85 days now. Got to bring her home as soon as possible. But you know, you gotta tip your hat hat off to the Aces, or to the Mercury. I'm sorry, and wish Skylar Diggins Smith, Diana Taurasi, and the whole team over there all the best. So
I second those thoughts. It's definitely an example of the cardiac kids, but more importantly, this season really showed their resilience. They just really tried to do it their all. And I mean, from the jump, when you look on paper, when they traded for Diamond DeShields, they signed Tina Charles, and then Vanessa Nygaard was hired, and then Brittany Griner being wrongfully detained. Didn't know how that all, if that's just hypothetical, we don't know what that team would have looked like. But they've dealt with a lot. Tina leaving, getting her contract buyout. Skylar Diggins and Diana Taurasi getting chirpy on the sidelines. Skylar Diggins Smith and Vanessa Nygaard had their little Twitter issues, but also too, in the same breath, you mentioned it. Skylar Diggins he needs her flowers. I mean, for the most part, she put that team on her back, and she should be all WNBA first team. Vanessa Nygaard, I mean, first year head coach. I don't know how she managed 36 games, but she did it. But realistically, the Phoenix Mercury are now at a crossroads. Your star, the GOAT, she's not getting any younger. We don't know where Skylar Diggins is. We don't know where she's at with next season. And we don't know when Brittany Griner will be home. Like, we have to be, if I'm the Phoenix Mercury from a front office perspective, I have to think about the future. Like, you've got a lottery pick next year, you've got free agency, you've got some decisions to make. But give them credit. They could have quit as early as May, June, but they stayed the course. I did hear some of the extra interview today, and some things Sophie Cunningham kind of doubled down on the Tina Charles comment she made. That was interesting, but I'm not going to talk. We're not going to talk about that. I'm going to stay focused on, hey, they had an amazing run. Give them credit, and let's see what they look like next year. So, the next game, next series, the Chicago Sky and the New York Liberty. What are your thoughts?
well, I wanna go game by game, especially because I watched this first game, and going back to the last part, I just gotta give you guys a big. I told you so about Marie Johannes. I told you so, but no, she is absolutely fantastic. Sabrina Ionescu came out absolutely unbelievable, and Sandy Brondello is doing some wonders in New York. They're another team where they've had an up and down season. Obviously, they haven't had the circumstances that Phoenix had, but they pulled it together, and they finished out the regular season strong. They made the postseason, and they came out and they just shut down Chicago in the first game in Chicago, and I don't think that's an easy task. And I wanted to give to talk about a certain play, and I think you know where I'm headed with this, but the pass. Listen, that is a great pass. That is a fantastic pass. But this is where the difference of a WNBA fan and a Seattle Storm fan differ, because Sue Bird's done that pass before, and so Seattle fans are like, we've seen that before. That's great that Maureen Johannes did that, but we've seen that before. And what was fun to figure out was both of those styles of passes were to Natasha Howard. That was a fun fact to figure out. That was pretty cool. But great pass nonetheless. I told you about Maureen Johannes. She's coming. So listen, I love New York, but Chicago came out with a statement Game 2 win, and I tip my hat to Kalea Copper. I will never do it to Candace Parker, but I will do it to Kalea Copper. She has earned my respect, and she is I have those players with, they come out with a dog mentality, and they're built like that. And I have tremendous respect for Kalea Copper. She's a dog in this league, and there's a reason they didn't just give out the Finals MVP just like they did the All-Star Game MVP. Kalea Copper earned it, and she was not the best player on that team. If you stack them 1 to 13, but she was the best player in that final series. And Game 2, you found out why.
Yeah, I agree. I actually got to sit here and eat my words. I sat here and said, "Oh, it's going to be." I said it was going to be Chicago in 3, but I'm disappointed that the veterans that Chicago does have, they just completely took their foot off the. They took their foot off the gas. I think they got a little too cocky. The Seattle Storm are. Not the Seattle. I mean the New York Liberty. Excuse me. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. They never cease to amaze me. And I think in the next game, but not this game, Benajelani should start. I just think what happened was I think the bear was finally awoken. Then that's Chicago, and still, I still think New York's going to make it competitive. But the one thing that still keep in mind that it's now anyone's series now. Like I said, when you win one on the road or you steal one, you set the tone. And New York definitely set the tone. But now it's up to Chicago to close it out. And I think they can do that for sure. What is your prediction for Game 3?
Yeah, well, thank God there was a Game 3 last year. Last year there obviously wouldn't have been, but other fans make a really good point that Chicago would have gotten a first round bye. So that's what I'll say about that. But I don't think I agree with you on the bear. The bear has been woken by Chicago. I am going to go with the Sky, but make no mistake about it, New York is not going to go away, especially because they're in New York, and that crowd, like Seattle, is going to be loud and wild in that arena. But I'm going to take Chicago. They're a veteran team, and I got to go with the veteran team that's done this before, in the kind of situation they're in.
I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. I say the Chicago Sky. I think New York's going to keep it close, though. I'm looking along the lines of 84-74. I see something like that. Another series that's gone now, the third game, their first win since moving from Tulsa. The Dallas Wings stole a game in Connecticut. Brenden, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they. There's some games. When I think of Connecticut, there's some games where they look like a competitive team. They look like a great team, and there are just some other games where they just come out and they just lay flat on their face. They let other teams just completely slap them to the ground and just keep them there. And I think that we got two of those games. We got a game where Connecticut looked like a championship team, and then we got a game where Dallas just came out firing on all cylinders. They started out hot and they never looked back. I think that's been the theme of some of these playoff games in all of these series. Probably not the Aces and the Mercury, but no. I'm telling you. Before we pick this game 3, you talked about this as anyone's game, and I wanna give your viewers something to think about, because if Dallas wins this game, and they win this series, they get Miss Notre Dame back next series. Probably. She looks good right now, but they get Enrique back next series, and they're probably going to play Chicago. So that makes this a lot more interesting. And especially if they win this game, they did it without Enrique. So it's going to be a great game 3. I'm very nervously going to pick Connecticut. But if Dallas wins this game, I would not look at you crazy if you picked them against Chicago because of what they're getting back.
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on that. But here's the kicker. When Enrique does come back, she has to play within their strengths. So she has to pick her spots offensively. It can't. Now I'm back on the court. We go back the way we were doing it before. It ain't going to work like that. And that's something I think Vicky Johnson's going to get across to her. And I think Enrique knows that now, because I just think they can play. I don't know what this is. They can play well with. They look better when she's not on the court. And I think a lot of it is, again, egos not being put in check. And I agree that when she comes back, it's going to be a different Dallas Wings team, but she has to just pick her spots. Now, Connecticut is the team we knew who they thought they were. Rest in peace, Dennis Green. This is a team you should have beaten. You should have swept them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep. I just don't understand this. I just think they just took their foot off the brake. I think they just got a little too cocky. I don't know. This Connecticut team, I said it before, if they don't get to the finals, you got it. This team, I don't see this team the same way it is next year. I don't. So I'm also gonna say the Connecticut Sun win game 3. I don't have a guarantee, but I don't know what to expect.
I want to say one last thing on this Connecticut Sun thing.
Go ahead.
Because you brought up a great point. I think a common theme here is I think a common theme here is Coach Miller is coaching for his job in Game 3. Actually, per series, but in this case, Game 3. Um, I haven't been a big fan of Kurt Miller. I think people are starting to join the bus of that I'm driving here, and there are certain reasons why I don't like him, but I I will join the group chat um, of the theme of he's coaching for his job per per game this year. If Connecticut, you brought up the point of finals. I agree. If Connecticut does not go to the finals, um, I don't think Kurt Miller has a job next year.
I think he has a job. I just think you just won't see this team the way it is because Breonna Jones is a free agent, and it's going to be hard to pay him. I mean, you see what he did to the bench from last year. I mean, I this second team will look definitely different. But I agree. I definitely agree because I don't know if it's again. I'm one of those believers. 50% the players, 50% coaching, because Connecticut again they have too many chefs in the kitchen. There's not a There's not a waiter. There's not a someone at the bar. There's not a busboy. There's not a cook. There's no established roles. I just see a lot of alpha dogs, and I I just don't think it. I don't know. I got questions, but um, just give it. We're going to wrap this up, but just give me your outlook on how are you liking the first round of the playoffs? How did you like it?
Yeah, I think it's entertaining. We got a lot of there are a lot of storylines, right? With whether you want to go matchup by matchup or overall, there are a lot of storylines. Got obviously Sue Bird's last playoff run. Yeah, Sue Bird and Brian January wanna give them both one last hurrah. But no, you got Dallas playing well with their head coach Vicky Johnson, and she's keeping that team where it's at right now. They're playing Game 3, but it's been a fun playoffs. These players are gaining experience, and that's something I think separates a team like Seattle and a team like Indiana, who's currently not in the playoff picture. But things like this, like experience matters, and if you want proof, look at again Seattle, Chicago. They're two championship contending teams, and they have experience on their team, and so they know what they're doing in terms of how to win important games like these. But no, it's been fun. I've really enjoyed it as a WNBA fan, and I'm looking forward to 2 Game 3s and then the second round.
Yeah, I agree. Other than I'll be honest. I think first and foremost, the fact that the 7th and 8th seed, it took the last week of the season to clinch a playoff spot. That's what made it exciting. Um, the Liberty and the Mercury were teams that were on the outside looking in. My hope was still Phoenix and not Phoenix, Minnesota and Atlanta. But it's been a very, very interesting first round. I've enjoyed it, except the game 2 of the Washington Mystics, painfully. Dallas won their first playoff game since moving to Tulsa. 7 years. Can you believe that? 7 years in their first playoff win.
Since 2009, I believe.
Well, since they left Detroit to go to Tulsa, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. So they got something to definitely be proud about. Sandy Bardello. I when I beginning of the season, I said that this was going to be a team where it's a new identity, different things like that. But give her flowers, and she got this team to get to the playoffs. Chicago's going to do Chicago. Did you hear the comments James Wade made about I can't think of the young lady's name.
Was it Kalea Copper? I'm pretty sure it was.
But it was another player that had to commit, I think, for the World Cup, and he didn't appreciate that. It was something like along the lines of, "Well, we didn't get an opportunity to really play her," and I'm like, "You didn't. You didn't even have her on the floor at all."
Yeah, I heard she was not with the team, but I didn't hear those comments. But I did about Kalea Copper.
Yes, yeah. James Wade is a weird. He's not weird. He's interesting. Let me put it that way.
Sue Bird likes to. We talked about last pod. Like Sue Bird likes to keep it real. So does James Wade, but he does it differently. He's a no fluff kind of coach. He just tells it like it is. He seems very annoyed all the time, and it's kind of weird, especially as a media member.
Yeah, it is, and especially this year when we said Vegas was the best team, and he was like, "Keep that same energy, keep that narrative," and I'm like, "Give them respect," but it's neither here nor there. But you got a pair of game threes. It's definitely going to be interesting. Round 2, I ain't gonna lie, I smell an upset. I do, I can see it, but I'm still seeing the Aces and the Storm in 5. Chicago and Connecticut. That's going to be interesting. You're going to be surprised when I say this, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to go in 5 as well.
These series are interesting if they happen. I think if you look at Seattle and Vegas, and listen, I'm a Seattle fan. I'm not surprised if Vegas wins the series, and I think Vegas fans would be a little surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle won the series, although it's an upset on paper, like we talked about earlier. Assuming Connecticut and Chicago pull their game threes and this matchup happens, I think I'm going to go bold here. I think Chicago goes into the closet and brings out the brooms. And I'm not giving Connecticut a game.
Are you putting a guarantee on that, Mr. Potts?
I guarantee that.
Guarantee.
Wow.
If it happens.
So this is high. So you're not sure, because we're going to bring Brenden back on here, ladies and gentlemen. We do the round 2 preview for the playoffs. Are we? So you're guaranteeing. So you're not officially guaranteeing, but you potentially are seeing a sweep.
Correct. If this is right now, this is hypothetical. If Chicago and Connecticut play a series, Chicago will sweep the Connecticut Sun.
I can see that. I can see, especially after last year, but I could see Connecticut also being motivated by last year. I could see that. There's definitely parallels for that for sure. I can agree with that. I can. Hypothetically, I could see that. You got me thinking on that one, Brenden. Thank you. I could. It's possible we might see that. It's possible. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude this episode. Be tuned in for future episodes. The Washington Mystics painfully have their exit interview. That will be scheduled sometime this week. Brenden, what you got going on this upcoming week, sir?
Yeah, I got another article to write. Of course, we got a Vegas and Seattle preview. I said, hey, as long as Seattle keeps winning, I'm going to keep writing. So we got another article coming out. Gotta get going on that. But no, just I'm going to enjoy some women's basketball, man. That's all you can do at this point in this week of rest that we get.
Yes, definitely. And then again, let's collab again for we do a round 2, and then we do a finals preview. Even throughout, we're going to let's just honestly and truthfully, let's get to see we can get together and recap the rest of this playoff to the finals. How's that sound?
Yeah, whether Seattle makes it or not, that sounds good to me for sure.
That's what I want to hear. I love to hear it. So you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have Mr. Brenden Potts back on Big Nate Sports Talk podcast. Closing message. Brenden, is there anything you would like to say? Closing message?
Just another shout out. Brittany Griner's been wrongfully detained for 84 days, and bring her home as soon as possible. That's all you can say, man.
I hear you. I definitely hear you on that one. Mine closing message is just follow your heart, follow your passion, be great. No matter what people may say, people may think of you, just do what you love to do. Even if it's whatever. You want to be best football player, go for it. You want to be the New York Times best author seller, do it. You put your mind to it, you put the work, time in, and good things are bound to happen. So, with that being said, that's going to conclude this episode. I have left Brendan's Twitter in the description below. Please check out his Twitter. Follow him on Twitter. And again, please like, comment, subscribe, share the podcast. Thank you, Brenden, for joining me. Congratulations to the Seattle Storm for advancing to round 2 of the playoffs. As the Mystics, we are going on vacation. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. So it's your host, Nathan Snell, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a great work week. School is getting ready to start up for most of us. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Catch you on the flip side. Peace out, y'all.
But I get sick of these guys complaining. These young guys, they never call us and say, when a coach is wrong, I'm going to call him out. But when players are wrong, I'm going to call them out. Thanks for the kind words. But listen, I'm going to criticize guys if they deserve it. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk.